All right, welcome everyone to a special episode of This Week I'm Learning. We have a guest with us today, Junebug, also known as Tyler. We're going to refer to him equally as Junebug or Tyler or June because we can't keep shit straight.
Or that guy in the corner with most of his face. That's what we do.
Yes, somewhere around there, yes. And we've got a interesting episode today. So Colton is going to teach us about scientists who've created a frog that's not a frog in any way except for DNA.
Brandon is
interesting.
Brandon's going to tell us about apparently a new orchard he has that's full of arms.
Arms.
And Cody's going to teach us about one country but two systems. Can it work or can it not?
And during all of this, June will be providing us with enlightening and snarky comments.
Color commentary, I'm sure.
Yep.
All right, Colton, you have got to go first.
Always got to go
frog,
first.
But not a frog, and DNA only. Okay,
Are we creating Jurassic Park?
What the hell?
Velociraptors?
This is the start, but it's kind of a short one.
Oh God.
But basically, as you said, scientists have created a frog that is not a frog. At the University of Vermont, they've actually grown an entity that is not a traditional robot or any known species of animal. See, I know. It gets a little bit more intriguing every time. Hang on, I'll explain. Patience. Basically, they're calling it the world's first living machine. Specifically Xenobots, which is, I don't know, pretty awesome and gamery in some ways. It's essentially a living, programmable organism. And like I said, it can't be classified as an animal, and it can't be classified as a robot. They don't really know what it is. It's brand new.
How big is it?
Basically, I'll get there. Basically, they using stem cells from the African clawed frog. The entity is essentially smaller. The entity is stitched together in a quadruped form. So, kind of the way I saw it, it kind of looks like a little tiny pig with no head. It's basically a body and four leg-like things. I know. It's 0.04 inches in size, about a millimeter. So they're not like nano. It's not a true nano thing. You can see it very closely, but you can see it. It's pretty freaking wild, Anna. Honestly, I think it was like late in 2019 they announced it. But what's cool about it? It's not just cells. It's actually the way that the head scientist describes it. It's basically a wind-up toy. So. It can self-heal any wounds it takes. They actually did an experiment where they cut it almost all the way in half, and the stem cells actually stitch themselves back together. It's freaking wild.
This is the beginning of the end.
Yeah, the doctor that's involved in creating this monstrosity, is his last name Frankenstein, or does he have any relation to said doctor?
It's more of
Frankenstein.
Yes. It's more of a team of Frankensteins, if you will. The monsters can survive for weeks at a time. Version of survival. It doesn't have any way to actually ingest ingredients, but they can. I mean, it's still in a petri dish in water, so it's not like it's actually. To be fair, it's not truly walking per se. It's just it basically it swims with its little four nubby little heart legs.
Without a head.
Without a head. It's really freaking cool. Essentially, it was.
Or
and
the
what's
stuff
cool,
of
have
nightmares.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's cool. Get it? It's cool. Have you guys seen those?
So Skynet.
It started off as a good idea, and those were. Wait, what'd you call those robots? Yeah, those were robots, or animatron, or whatever you call those things. Have you guys seen those YouTube videos? Shut up.
Yes, those YouTube videos. We've definitely seen those YouTube videos.
This thing is yes. Essentially, the YouTube. Have you seen the YouTube videos where, like, I guess a programmer creates an evolution program, I guess you could say, where it starts with a basic entity, and it gives it evolutionary characteristics, and then goes through like thousands and thousands of generations. So I've seen those all over the place. So basically, that's actually how. Yeah, it's to explain, Cody. It's basically it's basically simulating evolution. They create a organism of some sort. They give it random like abilities. This particular node can move. This particular node can pull.
This
little things
particular
like
node
that.
can breathe fire. Oh wait, no head. Well,
that's later.
There's other.
Yeah, then
Okay, so-
they basically make this entity. They give it 1,000 generations. Every single time, each generation will change slightly, and then if it survives or moves a certain amount, it can reproduce. Which over time, going with Darwinian evolution theory, the theory, it'll get to the point where it can actually walk, or it can actually swim, or it can actually do that.
Well, it's
That's
good to know
actually-
that future human evolution does not involve us having a head.
Well, what's cool about this whole thing is that that's exactly what they did. Instead of just leaving it in the program, they actually did that basic thing using a supercomputer. I don't remember which one it was, but with 1 billion points or something stupid like that of coding, and they actually were able to create this living creature using that particular algorithm and system. So it's kind of cool how they set the actual code and they applied it to real life and built this beautiful little headless pig thing that's about 1 millimeter.
I just got one question for you.
Beautiful.
What's the question?
Could we use this to replace the Wonder Burger?
Potentially.
Oh, because it moves.
Yeah, because growing
yeah.
meat, it's
It
like
would
the
be leaving.
Senta cow. Yeah.
You know what?
Yeah.
It will probably taste like the heart of a frog, though. But yes, theoretically.
I don't know. There's people that.
I mean,
But-
there's
Frog
some
legs.
delicacies with frogs.
Well, yeah. Actual
missing a head.
scientific potential uses. They're thinking about using this thing to target toxic spills, so it could actually handle radiation. It can excavate plaque from human arteries, which kind of creepy thought, but still interesting. Probably the most realistic one, since right now it's obviously based in water. It's used to collect marine microplastics. So all the
Ooh, gotta love
all the
those
little
marine
tiny
microplastics.
oh yeah, destroying our oceans one day at a time. So that's kind of where science is going.
I wonder
not-
if the ocean cleanup will start using these then.
Yeah. There is obviously the traditional worry of like nanobots destroying environments and stuff like that, but
Headless nanobots.
the headless nanobots. But again, this isn't a creature per se, and it isn't a robot. It has one job. You can train it to have one job, and all it does is that one job. And once it's done,
For now.
But the idea is once it's done or can't find anything, it will just
Done.
cease to exist. That's
We
the
need to make
idea.
a subreddit for that.
I'm
So-
waiting
I'm
for
sure there
PETA
is.
to get angry about this.
Not real
So
organisms,
the-
but organisms too.
The one downside for using it to collect microplastics is then because it is kind of edible in and of itself, you would still end up
And that is
having
exactly that is
You
part
gotta-
of the. Yeah, just a bunch. I mean, it's. You're right. It is totally edible, and I'm sure some sea creature would freaking love to eat it.
See,
But
this
maybe the
is
idea-
it's
maybe
like
the
a cute
idea-
baby headless pig.
Maybe
This
the idea
is-
is just to collect all the microplastics in a little thing. A fish eats it, then they collect the fish to get the microplastic. I don't know what the. I
Or-
didn't develop this creature.
no. You have to give it predatory traits, so therefore it can eat the fish that eats the microplastics, so it can really be the thing of nightmares.
Yeah, nothing wrong's gonna happen there.
Yeah.
What could possibly go wrong?
Let's just say there are people a lot smarter than we are that are working on the problem. So,
God, I
Creating
hope
the
so.
problem.
just so you know what, just all hail our Xenobot overlords. One
You know
day,
what?
guys.
That's
Keep
going to
it-
be the
keep it right
December
now.
event. That's going to be the December event.
Oh, yeah. So, guys, one of these got out, and I just stepped on a bigger version of it.
Yep. No, we'll
Why?
get the vaccine around
we
November,
can't-
and be like, yeah,
we
we got this all
literally-
taken care of.
We literally cannot kill it.
Life
try,
will find
but
a
we can't.
way.
Life finds a way.
You squish it, and it just becomes 30 million of its tiny little... Okay.
It's going to
Yep.
be like evolution.
Evolution, or that one episode of Futurama with Bender, or it could, or possibility, guys, it could solve all of our problems. You're all so negative. You're always so negative on this podcast.
Yeah, because
I
robots
like to be
solving problems for us has always worked out well in sci-fi.
We've never tried it. We've never tried it. Why not try it on a math scale with tiny little fake organisms, huh? Dream big,
what
Cody.
what
Dream
could possibly
big.
go wrong? It's not like they could be susceptible to the same diseases that we are.
Or
at
create a
all.
new one.
Ever. No. Yeah. All right.
A bunch
on
of
to
negative Nancy.
slightly,
That's all you all are.
On to slightly less disarming news.
Grown.
I think it was more like less beheading news.
Well,
Brandon has a new form of gardening that he needs to tell us about.
yeah. Orchard
involve
full of
arm?
arms.
Tell us about these arms, Dracanis.
Okay, so if you guys, like me, follow any of the tech news that's out there, you've probably all heard about Apple's upcoming transition to its own processors based on the ARM RISC platform. What you may not have heard about yet is that Apple will actually integrate and support Thunderbolt with the new chipset. This is a huge step for the future of the platform. As of now, I mean, anyone who knows me knows I am not an Apple fan. I've owned a phone once, I've owned a laptop once, and I'm good. I don't need to. But what I hope that Apple transitioning to the ARM platform will do is create more interest around the ARM platform and bring the benefits of the ARM RISC architecture over to Windows devices. And right now, none of the Windows on ARM laptops or devices have Thunderbolt supported. It's just not available through the Qualcomm architecture.
Wait,
Intel,
really?
really.
Wait, does
Are we
this
talking-
mean
we're
we could
talking
get
Win-
Thunderbolt for our phones, potentially?
Yup.
Thunderbolt for a Raspberry Pi.
Yes.
Oh,
Okay.
those could definitely use some more ports.
The one
Yeah.
port
Oh, yeah.
that will rule them all. That's the thing, is you can just use that to run everything. Data,
Yep,
power.
port of the
Oh, yeah.
future. Yeah, totally the port of the future. Was it 5 gigabytes a second? Speed of this with this?
40.
Yeah,
Is
it'd
it
have
40?
to be,
Ah, I
yeah,
can't
because
remember.
display ports
Yeah.
faster than.
Oh, that's
5,
right.
if I remember correctly.
That's right. The newest. Yeah, you're right.
And they are talking about Thunderbolt 4 already, which will incorporate the new USB 4.0 specifications. Not a lot of performance boost from what I understand, but a ton of security upgrades. And it's still going to use the same form factor, the USB Type-C.
Nice.
But Intel and Apple collaborated on the initial design for Thunderbolt, which I don't remember if you guys, or don't know if you guys remember that at all when that was happening. But Apple was the first ones to actually put Thunderbolt on their laptops. So it's kind of nice to see that even though Apple is leaving the Intel chipset behind, they're kind of taking the best of the collaboration with them. Intel did announce back in 2017 that the Thunderbolt 3 standard would be royalty-free starting in 2018. So chipset manufacturers and OEMs can start putting it on new devices. There's, I think, only 1 or 2 motherboards that have included it. And AMD hasn't done anything with that yet.
I think
There's actually a interesting episode of Level 1 Techs where Wendell did get Thunderbolt 3 working on an AMD Threadripper by adding in a Titan Ridge card and then modifying the firmware. And this was back in 2018. but nothing's happened with it since. So hopefully, moving forward, I mean, Thunderbolt 3 is an amazing, not platform, but port. It's got,
Standard.
you can run all your data through it, your audio through it, your video through it. The simple fact that it's basically
Power.
PCI Express. Yep, power.
Yeah, there's a Razer
So-
laptop that actually uses that too, and they have Razer makes their own like external video card box, so you can.
eGPU.
Yep. So
Yeah,
you
those
can
are-
use that.
Yeah, I think
Yeah, the
all of
next-
those external GPU boxes pretty much have to use a Thunderbolt standard.
They do.
Otherwise, because of the amount of data that a video card can put out. So
That, or you have to do a really janky. You basically pull the Wi-Fi card, and because that's a PCIe slot on the inside of your laptop, you can get an adapter card that then goes to Thunderbolt for certain chipsets
Oh, that's cool.
to let
I didn't know that.
Yeah, and it lets you connect to an eGPU.
Yeah, they also used it for charging the laptop too, if I remember correctly. So that's, as somebody who travels, that's actually really cool because it means you can use potentially a, just a USB battery pack charger for some of your laptops, depending on the wattage.
you can. Yeah, it is very dependent on wattage, but I mean, even
Or voltage, sorry, not wattage.
well,
Well, I guess, yeah.
it would be wattage because of the amperage, not the voltage.
Yeah. Yes. You're right. Yes.
Now our listeners know about electricity. Good job, boys.
Kind
Only
of.
half of it.
Yeah.
Only 2/3. It's only
That's
2/3.
that's
So-
all
so to
electricity
get-
is those three things. Nothing else.
Well, and wattage is a function of
and
voltage times amperage.
The
And that's how you
more
cast
love-
Thundaga 4.
Ah,
So with the Thunderbolt, do they fix any of the security flaws that were in the previous Thunderbolts?
I think they've fixed some from like version 1 and 2. 3 has opened up more. There's like a direct memory access issue right now that is cured in the Thunderbolt 4 framework. But yeah, for right now, it's just kind of like the Heartbleed vulnerability. I mean, it's a hardware vulnerability, so until the hardware changes, it's going to be there. You can do some software stuff to fix the memory access issue, I think, but it degrades the performance of the port.
Can't have that.
No. Need all the speed.
All the speed. Question I have for Thunderbolt 4: are they going to actually name it Thunderbolt 4? Or are they going to do the same thing that USB did with their random 3.2 by 2 times 67.8?
No. It's 3.1, Gen 1, Gen 2, and Gen 3. It's simple.
That's so.
Just
Hey,
Yeah.
at least
It's
it's,
stupid.
Go
not.
tell that to
it's
Linus.
so stupid.
Yeah, it's not named by Microsoft, so it's not the
Yeah.
or Intel.
Thunderbolt X Series X1 or something.
Well, it's,
Or the
I mean,
360.
we could have a whole
Yeah.
goddamn episode on how these, I guess, the marketing, or who the hell makes up these damn names? Like, I mean,
Marketing.
AMD, yeah. But so AMD with, you guys know about the new 30,
Oh yeah, the
3000 chipsets.
3100. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
that's fine, but the even new ones that came out in the last week, the freaking 3000 series XT, like the 3800
Oh,
XT, 3950 XT, which are same price as the original X variant, but I don't understand marketing for tech companies. I mean, it's so stupid. You think with all that money, I think there's all four of the major tech giants are all $1 trillion companies now. So you think they could put a few dollars away for a decent marketing team?
But people are like, it's got more letters. I gotta buy it now.
Yep.
Yeah,
you
you know
got that
what?
part.
Tyler would know.
And well, yeah, it's not so much if it makes sense. It's if people will look for it.
Yeah.
So if you got something new and you completely change your naming scheme, any of the bots out there that are going to be doing the scraping, going through and finding stuff, they have to now recode it, which means they're going to have to test it, which means you now have all of those bots going through and using that search term, which is going to toss you up to the top of the list.
New
Don't
product.
make the bots work
Same
against
product.
you, but make them work for
New
you.
product. Yep.
Yeah.
That, yeah, you know what? That makes sense. Wow.
I mean, there's
Sinister.
other manipulations that they'll do to the individual consumer, but most of it, I imagine, is probably going to be going through and trying to actually get up to the top of the search result. Even
So
if you type in something completely wrong.
So is this what SEOs do?
What the hell is an
They
SEO?
understand
Probably.
search engine optimization.
Yeah, search engine optimization.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Blah, 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 blah.
I see
At
you're
some level,
drinking
there's probably
too.
some.
Drink when you can't talk.
Yep. More caffeine.
Yep. That was not... Oh, it has tea. That has caffeine in it. There's other things in it, too.
Oh, the Rumplemans.
No, that's a good point, June. I never thought about
Fresh.
how it affects the search engine, considering.
well,
Mentos of alcohol.
I mean, if you think about it, well, like, anytime someone releases a statement that you just know is completely false or that, like, engages you to the point that you're enraged about it, that was done on purpose.
True.
Because if you sit there and you look at an article and you're like, oh, yeah, okay, that makes sense, you're done. You don't engage in the article at all. They don't get the views. They don't get the ad revenue. So they purposely are going to do something that is going to cause you to talk about it, even if it's complaining, because any press is good press.
And this is why
Just
our
go ask
generation
Eminem
is,
or ICP.
yeah, this is why our generation is more stressed out than everybody else because we're engineered to be that way.
Oh, I think there's
No,
other things
stressed?
that cause them.
You're stressed.
They just don't smoke enough.
It's 2020. We're all stressed.
Yeah.
Easiest 2020, easiest year ever, brah. Just a breeze.
It hasn't actually been too
Yeah,
bad.
if it was a furnace and going backwards somehow. I feel like it's still March.
Long as I think Cody said something earlier that was really awesome. The longest and shortest year ever.
Yeah.
Time has
we're all
no
gonna-
meaning. Yeah.
We're all gonna die. Anyways,
Oh, we're all going to die eventually.
All right,
2021. So Cody, why don't you try to lighten the mood a little bit with I'm sure the positive one country
Yeah.
systems thing you're about to tell us about.
That. All right.
No pressure.
So I actually debated whether or not to do this topic, and then I realized that my debate on whether or not to do this topic is proof that I need to do this topic. So, yeah, because at some
Should
point
have recorded it.
I do want to travel to Hong Kong or China. Anyway, this is about
Oh,
Hong
boy.
Kong because of one country, two systems. So I am going to
2019.
attempt, for two reasons, because I believe that you should tell a story for both sides, and that I, again, would like to go to China and Hong Kong and not be thrown in prison. So, yeah, I'll try and do this as fairly as possible. So we've had these protests, or in the U.S., we have really had these protests kind of televised and known about since 2019. Actually, I'm curious, when did you guys first hear about the Hong Kong protests?
20 years ago?
Probably last year.
Okay.
I
Well,
want to say 1930.
okay.
When
During
did
British
Britain take
rule,
over
yes.
Hong Kong?
Okay,
Hong Kong?
so I'll give you a brief...
1907 or something like that?
Yeah, so here's the brief history of Hong Kong rule. So in 1842, after the First Opium War, don't ask me about it because I didn't research that specifically, China, as part of that, ceded Hong Kong to Britain. And then 1860, they included Kowloon, which apparently is another area in Hong Kong regionally that was also ceded. And then in 1958, they leased a bunch of islands, 235 islands, to Britain for 99 years, which would be, after 99 years, is 1997. So that's when Britain ceded Hong Kong back to China. And part of that was a negotiation of, okay, so for 50 years, so from 1997 to 2047, Hong Kong is going to operate on this one country, two systems policy, which means that Hong Kong is China. They are not different countries. And that Hong Kong has a different set of rules as China. So in Hong Kong, rather than having the communist government, they have more of a democratic government. Also, the internet operates differently in Hong Kong than it does in mainland China, but there's more to this too. That there's actually different currencies. So Hong Kong has their own currency. Hong Kong actually has their own language. So Hong Kong speaks Cantonese and English versus China speaks Mandarin predominantly. So that's part of it as well. But things, people are actually a little bit different in Hong Kong. How, like, for instance, Hong Kongers typically are a little bit more superstitious than mainland Chinese, because as part of the Cultural Revolution in the 1950s, China was trying to make great strides to move everyone forward as part of the communist society. So they kind of went like, hey guys, let's move forward with these old traditions and kind of let's move past that to the modern era. But Hong Kong had a different... They were under British rule at the time, so they didn't really have that same thing happen to them. So fast forward to the 2000s, the big deal that's been going on in Hong Kong is, as part of this, part of the agreements, they were set to have this universal suffrage. And it took me a while to figure out, because I was like, and I even went to like the Hong Kong website for voting. It's like, what do you mean people can't vote? And I was really confused by this, because it was like, yes, like everybody can vote as long as you're not mentally disabled or you're not in the military. If you're in the military in Hong Kong, you can't vote. You have to reside in Hong Kong.
Really?
Yeah, I thought that was kind of odd.
That seems completely backwards.
But it might be because of this
conflict of interest.
One country. Yeah, it might be conflict of interest. And also, I believe that technically the military for Hong Kong is the Chinese mainland military. I need to research that a little bit more, but I think that might be the case. I might be wrong. Please tell me if I'm wrong.
You're wrong.
Okay, thank you.
I believe there's a little movie called what's that damn movie with the bugs? The space bugs.
Terminator?
No.
Starship Troopers?
Starship Troopers. That's all I'm thinking about.
Well, that's kind of opposite, because you have to become a citizen in that
that's
movie
what I'm saying.
in order to vote.
So it's like logically kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's interesting.
But so what happened is China. So the way voting works for the actual administrative leader, I'm trying to remember what they call that person. That's not the name, but it's basically the
prime minister.
No, they don't. It's not a prime minister, but they have like the director. I can't think of the name now, of Hong Kong. That person they vote for, but it's only applicants that Beijing chooses, that the people of Hong Kong vote for. So it's kind of like the U.S. system in a way, because the Democrats and Republicans choose people, and then we vote for them. Oh, thank you, Chief Executive. So, yeah, there's my cynicism about that anyway, showing through with the U.S. system, at least, too, until we get, like, ranked choice or something here. Anyway, off that tangent. So, anyway, they've been upset over that, because they were saying, like, 2017 would be the year that they start doing that, but that didn't really resolve through. And there have been different things, like, at one point they were saying that the schools had to start teaching, like, patriotism, and that upset a lot of Hong Kongers. So, like, from their perspective, you can kind of see why they're upset, too, regarding this, of course. Now, I'm trying to play, like, the advocate for China at the same time here. So China's got this situation where they have a society that they're supposed to have integrate into China by 2047. And actually, nobody really knows what's going to happen in 2047. If this one country, two systems is still going to be going on, if it's going to completely dissolve, if Hong Kong's going to just become China, or
The world's even here.
Yeah, if we're all going to be dead by, like, mega, shark frogs.
By October.
Yeah, we'll see. Yeah, it's moved up a few months now. It's not December.
Murder Xenobots.
Exactly. So from their perspective, and I really tried to find, like, information on their perspective, so I'm not trying to guess at it. But my only logical guess here is they're really trying to get this system of culture more integrated into them, so they're trying to pick up the pace to that. And Hong Kong's really upset about it. So they passed, in 2019, they introduced this new extradition law, which it was actually because it was really weird. I don't understand the full reason that it began with, but it was something to do with Taiwan, which is a whole different ballgame we can get into on another episode. But there was somebody who was indicted for murder in Taiwan, but went to Hong Kong, and I think Taiwan was supposed to get them, but yeah, then there's that whole ordeal. So China wanted to see if they could get them extradited to mainland China, and everybody got up in arms about that, because then what could happen is you could commit a crime in Hong Kong and then face the mainland Chinese legal system rather than the
essentially a violation of the one country, two systems.
Yeah, because part of that is you face the legal system in Hong Kong, which has its own legal system. So that freaked a lot of Hong Kongers out, and they protested. And that's what started the 2019 protests that lasted, well, until COVID hit, really. So
Right.
Yeah, that was the big story before that COVID thing happened.
Oh, yeah.
That small little thing.
Yeah, it was, I mean, I can understand why they were upset about that. And then in 2020, a few months ago, they wound up shelving that and going, okay. But they still were, really upset, and then things started mounting more, and then Hong Kongers started going and talking about independence. Well, when you start talking about independence, it causes a lot of issues for China, because China doesn't, the U.S. wouldn't want to lose, like, Guam. Well, I guess you could almost think about it as Guam, but it's even different than Guam. But
the difference there is Hong Kong.
Yeah,
but Hong Kong is also one of the financial capitals of the world. It makes a lot of money.
True, and that's one of the reasons why
influence.
Up until now, that China hasn't really done too much about it, at least what people speculate. However, now, Shanghai actually has a higher GDP than Hong Kong does.
Wow.
Well, yeah, but that doesn't mean...
In the last 20 years, it's not... Hong Kong is not insignificant, but it used to be where Hong Kong had a huge percentage of China's economic output. But now it's changed, where China has really risen and has more of their economic output in mainland China than it does in Hong Kong by a significant margin. So they're probably willing to be more aggressive about this than they used to be. And so when people started talking independence, they created this new law, this anti-sedition law, that nobody really knew what was in it until the day before it passed. And it's basically anybody who protests about independence can immediately, part of this is actually being extradited. So you can be extradited to China and face the legal system there, and actually you can actually be put away for life in prison. Wow. So there's actually a 15-year-old that was protesting and got hit with this. So we don't really know what the status of what happened to her right now is, but that's so basically for what they were protesting against in 2019 happened in 2020 plus a lot. There was actually one person who allegedly stabbed a cop in Hong Kong and then got on the airplane to fly to the UK or something, and then wound up they stopped the plane and boarded the plane and got him too. So I mean, if he did stab a cop, then yeah. I have no real right to. I've never been to Hong Kong or China, so I have no real right to speak about it, other than what happened.
Except on this podcast.
Yeah, true. I mean, it's just interesting information. It's like this is what's going on in the world, so figure we might as well talk about it. And this is what the UK is now looking at. Actually, I think they did pass where if you have a British overseas passport, you can actually move to the UK.
I thought it was if you had just even a Hong Kong passport. Because doesn't Hong Kong residents
Hong
they
Kong,
have their own
yes,
passport?
They do have their own passport. And I guess there's some people that have British overseas passports in there as well. So I don't know if it applies to all Hong Kong passports or if it's just British overseas passport. Or maybe they're part of the same. I'm speculating there. And then the U.S. actually also... So they treated Hong Kong differently than they treated mainland China. So when we had tariffs against China, it was just China. It wasn't tariffs against Hong Kong. So now we're starting to treat them the same. Because from the U.S.'s perspective, if you're starting to enforce these anti-sedition laws in this dramatic of a measure, then we can't treat you differently.
Right.
Yeah, so that's... Yeah, that's the interesting part. All of this is interesting, but depending on your perspective, terrible. Yeah. I mean, either way, it sucks that, a 15-year-old girl was caught up with this or arrested for anti-sedition.
It's I would argue objectively wrong.
Yeah.
I mean,
and what
it's easy coming from our perspective as Americans.
Yeah, and I really tried to find like the mainland Chinese government perspective, and there's no news on that I could find. So I don't know. There's a lot of Western media speculating about how Chinese people feel, like mainland Chinese people. I will say that there's a lot of reports of mainland Chinese people when they visit Hong Kong being hounded and ridiculed and basically threatened while they're in Hong Kong by the populace.
What, spies or something?
No, just people that Hong Kongers that are annoyed with, probably at the government, but through them, I would guess. Now, what's interesting what the protesters are starting to do now is they're holding up blank pieces of paper so they can't say like, free Hong Kong or independence or anything like that. So they're like at a mall and holding up blank pieces of paper.
So it's supposed to represent that,
Yeah.
or
That
once it gets on the internet so people can write in whatever they need to.
who knows? Yeah, maybe it's something that's very meme worthy since they're not, under the Great Firewall.
Well, I mean, unfortunately, that is how it seems the younger generations talk now, is through memes. Just constant memes.
Yeah.
Or emojis.
Some of it is okay, but there.
We're going back to Egypt.
I listened to a podcast where they actually had somebody on whose job was to. That's actually pretty funny, but they had somebody who was on whose job was to create memes for companies or political parties. So it's
What do you do for a living, dude? I create professional memes.
Yeah,
Dude, I make dank fucking memes all day, bro. What do you do?
Easy money right there.
I'm an influencer. I influence everyone with my memes,
Hey,
and then we
what
create
else?
a worse world.
You can influence on the positive.
Yeah, but what do we really
I don't know
see
how.
more of?
Usually frogs.
Maybe it's a
Frog.
podcast. Yeah,
Hey.
maybe it's frogs. Maybe
You
the
know what?
frogs
You
will be
know-
engineered to love.
The rights of xenobots will be a political issue in 2047. Because they have to be.
Oh
Yeah,
God,
probably.
Will-
we won't have to worry
Well, I mean,
about Hong Kong or
scientifically-
China. We'll have to worry about
scientifically-
PETA ruling the world.
Well, politically correct and everything. They all matter.
What? You're not a member of the PETA party? You're terrible. You should be put to death.
You shall die.
Yeah.
Yeah. PETA doesn't care about your rights, just the animals' rights.
But humans are animals.
Worse animals.
Or are we just a giant supercomputer? Or, as one person said, a meat popsicle.
Yeah, just a bunch waiting for the coming skeleton war when we all shed our meat suits and go fight that war. Speaking of memes. What a
So
weird...
here's the future I see for you. In 2021, frogs are going to have this wonderful, horrible disease that's going to happen because a researcher was using the Thunderbolt 4.0 that had a security flaw that is going to be coming from someplace in Hong Kong because they couldn't decide on what system to use and they couldn't convert between the two systems.
We're calling it here,
laugh at
folks.
it now.
Right there.
Yeah.
Right
The
there.
U.S. already did this. We crashed a probe into a planet.
Will they speak Cantonese,
shit, yeah.
Mandarin, or English, though?
It's probably going
Binary,
to be
only binary.
yeah. Well, actually, no.
They're
No,
not-
it's going to
Assembly
be.
language.
They're not animals. Damn it.
They're going to have it. It's going to be half in assembly and half in binary, and it's because they didn't convert between the two. I don't know how they're going to pull that off.
I wonder if
It's gonna
anyone's...
be really hard, but they're going to somehow find a way.
Yeah, are they using metric or standard at that point?
Maybe it's half and half. One side's metric, one side's imperial.
There's only like 3 countries in
Humans.
the world that use the standard system. It's the U.S., Myanmar, and some I forget.
Sudan? No,
Somewhere
it's...
in Africa.
No, I
Yeah.
think it actually is somewhere in Africa that use
is.
this is the
Internet
internal system.
Internet away.
I'll just say there are 2 countries in this world: those who have landed a man on the moon, and those who have not.
It's all a lie.
It's all a lie, bro.
No,
it's all
it's not a
CGI.
lie.
Look at the deep fakes that are out there now.
Oh,
Well,
Speaking
I
of-
will say,
Liberia.
Dude,
I will say, back in that era, for doing something that big, Russia would have loved to catch us with our pants down, pulling a lie off if it was.
oh
no
yeah,
shit.
yeah.
No
I'm
shit.
just,
It's
I'm just
totally,
saying,
it
you
totally
have
happened.
a superpower going after us. I mean, if we faked it that well, I mean, that's pretty cool.
Hey, maybe
But I
we'll
don't
have
think we
a
faked it that well.
know that-
completely
that-
another space race.
United States, Myanmar, and Liberia. So
Yep.
Track
But
technically said it
in
before.
all superpowers.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Myanmar and Liberia use both the metric system and imperial in parallel.
That's not going to
So-
cause a problem at all.
one country, 2 systems.
That could be the theme.
How many frogs do they have?
Let's
Not
go
enough,
study.
apparently.
Let's
Kind
go.
of Not really a big segue, but did you guys see that video on that Linus Tech Tapes? Well, I guess it was his short circuit channel.
I've seen that one.
Speaking
Oh,
of
yeah.
CGI,
Oh,
the
deep
The
fake.
freaking the
troubles
deep
they had.
fake.
Deep fake, yeah.
Yeah, they had a lot of troubles
That was-
making that.
Oh yeah, the behind the scenes like Linus Tech Tip video of how they did it and everything. That was really interesting.
I'll have to watch
It's
it.
like that's just from a. Have you seen it, Cody?
Nah.
You got to take a look at it. It's basically Linus did an entire short circuit video review of a keyboard of some sort, but he was not involved in any way. So it's basically his entire persona was
Linus
Fake.
Robot reviews a keyboard.
Deep faked.
exactly.
Yes.
Yep.
And if you're I would say if you're inebriated, you probably wouldn't notice. You would think something weird is happening.
Something's weird with the
Wouldn't
sound,
really
but
care.
Listen to dubstep beforehand, and then you won't notice any difference in his voice.
it's just auto-tune. Man, we really
16-bit dubstep.
Yeah, you gotta. Okay, at least the video that I'm watching. Oh, this is weird. It's not Linus Tech Tips. It's Short Circuit.
it's
Okay.
it's part of the Linus Media Group.
It's a sister channel.
His
Speaking
head
of Linus.
looks slightly wrong.
Hey!
Yeah, he doesn't
Support.
Team Beard.
He doesn't have a beard. No, I think he looks better without a beard. Sorry.
I
No.
don't think so. I think he pulls off the. Man, we are really
Either
chilling
way,
for the
this-
Linus Media. Jesus, on this channel,
And
we do this
level
every
one.
freaking week. By the way,
Linus
y'all-
and level
Linus,
one.
pay attention
Linus
to us.
in level 1 and Windows Central. Hey, they're
Then
great channels.
Asia,
We all
I
love
don't
them.
know.
Well, you haven't pushed any of the podcasts that you like, Psycho. The
Dots, Lines,
Oh,
and
Warren's.
Destinations is really cool. Yeah.
Dots, Lines, and Destinations now every week.
Bangkok Podcast. That's my favorite podcast with Greg Jorgensen. I know you guys.
Please sponsor
Colton,
us.
yeah. No, it would be more like us. Yeah, they're small.
We'll do a guest spot.
but interesting actually. Oh no, I would love to be on that podcast. Yeah.
Hey, it'd be cool to talk to other people that have opinions on shit.
Nobody.
That's the only thing we're doing.
Like, where can we find these people with opinions on something?
You know, somewhere on the internet, there's probably at least one or two people that have an opinion on something. I don't know what, and they'll probably present it in a very calm, collected, non like homophobic or non
bias.
Racially
anti-woman
motivated.
way of anything
Yeah.
like that, because you know that's what the internet is.
There's
Positivity.
no bias anywhere.
I don't know.
Internet is for unicorns.
Yep, that is exactly how that song goes.
Cats. Cats, motherfucker, all day.
All right, we're getting way off the rails. I think before
It's
we
a good journey.
call this, yes, before we call this to a close, Tyler, do you have anything you want to talk about?
I don't.
Where can we find you, and what do you do?
Who are you, Tyler?
Things and stuff.
We can find you in a room somewhere.
He does exist.
Yes.
We promise.
All
Somewhere
right.
close.
Yes.
All right. Well, I am Brandon Vader. You can find me on twitch.tv, Drac Vader,
Well, yeah, we
or
agree.
on YouTube at The Tech Pirate. I am here, right here.
Yep,
We-
right there.
This is me.
That is an infallible
This is
fact.
not a deep fake.
That
So
sounds
we're told.
exactly what a damn deepfake would say. I'm just.
Exactly. I've seen spam.
None of us are actually real. We all spend like 6 weeks creating a deepfake of each of us, and that's why we all sound just so great.
And
spent 6
we
weeks?
really work on frogs.
All
They're
right,
not-
did this like in half an hour.
Maybe
Did you guys
we
even
are
listen? They're not even frogs. Frog-like,
We work on not frogs.
We
You
have
said they
frog,
had frog
DNA.
DNA.
not frog.
Not frog. Not made with DNA. I don't know.
Okay. Cody, where can we find you?
Alaska right now. Yep.
How about on the internet?
You wanna plug your channel? Striving to fail.
Yeah, striving to fail. I need to put up more stuff. Yeah. especially since the 747 is going away. So yeah, Dots, Lines, and Destinations is a really cool podcast. They'll talk about the 747. So I guess I'll shill for them because, yeah, there you go. Dots, Lines, and Destinations.
I think we know what Psycho's
for all two
Psycho's topic is going to be next week. I am Colton Roper. I stream games under the moniker Seeker4761, twitch.tv/Seeker4761. I also have a YouTube channel.
That's how many shots it usually takes to hit somebody.
You broke up, but I'm assuming you were making fun of my accuracy.
Shots of some.
I also
Burn, I think.
I am also a contributor on the techbuyer.net, hosted by that gentleman up there.
No. I'm recording. He's not there. You're pointing off screen.
I don't. He is here? No, here.
Yes.
Okay.
There you go.
Over here. Okay.
We are not professionals.
We will be one day.
Oh, God, no, you're all wrong.
Brandon, anything you would like to promote on your side?
I plugged already, but yes, visit the techpirate.net.
Gotta do the techpirate.net.
Putting more articles on there. I'll have another one up tonight featuring the Orchard of Arms conversation we just had, or some variant of it. But yes. Also, and hopefully next week I should start reviewing the the Microsoft Surface earbuds that I complained about in a previous episode. They are graciously sending me a pair to review.
See, we're open-minded.
Really? That's awesome. That's freaking cool.
We are totally open-minded. We are willing to shame ourselves. It's okay.
Oh yeah.
Oh totally. Yeah. That's the only thing to do.
Yes.
All right.
Well, I think take care everybody and be safe out there in 2020. Hopefully we'll make it to next month at this rate.
Farewell and thanks for all the fish.
Or frogs.
Yep.
Or not frogs.
Or frogs.
But not frogs.
Not
all right.
frogs.
See you, everybody.